Welcome to Taiji's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make miso paste yourself at home. I think in cooking, there are some things that taste better if you let the professional do jobs, but there are some things that might take a little bit of work, but it tastes better if you make it yourself at home. And miso is just one of them. There's even a word for making your own miso called temae miso, meaning your own brand miso. I tried this a couple times, but it didn't really work out. First, I tried with a porcelain container, which is a traditional variation. Then secondly, I did with a plastic see-through Tupperware, but both of them developed some mold, so I had to throw them away. But recently, I learned this technique of using a plastic bag. It was just so much easier to make it, but also to store it. It may seem a little bit of work, but if you just make a big batch, then it's just something that you need to make once or twice a year. And the result of the homemade miso is so much better than regular store-bought miso, because the store-bought miso, to make a big production, to speed up the process, they don't really fermentate. But making your own miso takes much longer time, but it's so much richer, so much flavorful. If you just follow the steps and with the right amount of ingredients, then you can't really fail. So I really hope you give this a try yourself. Then, let's get started. Here are the 3 ingredients to make miso at home. So of course you have regular soybeans. Here I have so-called Koji. This is a type of fungus that grows on rice that is used in many recipes in Japan. One of the primary uses to make miso. But I have a description how to make miso with it. And where I live in Europe, I can get this online, and many places I hope you can get it yourself. So you can make miso at your home quite easily. And then I have here sea salt. This is a little bit more expensive sea salt because I'm spending time and effort. I don't want to use some cheap salt. There's no really rule to it, but try to get some quality salt for it. Then let's get into it. So first thing to do is rinse out the soybeans and also selecting out the bad soybeans. And to do that, you want to get some water in a container and then put it out in here. So when you soak it in water, you have kind of hollow soybeans, and these are the ones that you want to select out, even though you may seem fine on the outside. And if you see also some damaged ones like this, you want to select that out as well. And then you want to take out this water, and then put in some water. Make sure you put enough water so the beans are covered. And you want to leave it like this for at least 12 hours, preferably 24 hours, and let the beans soak up the water. So the day has passed now. So as you can see, the bean has soaked up the water. So this is before and this is after. I'm always so surprised how big they get. Let's get rid of this water. You can put in a pot. Make sure the pot is big enough that you have space on the top. You can put some water in here. So just like this, make sure the beans are covered in water. Then we're ready to cook this. So I'm going to turn the heat to high and bring this to boil. So once this is starting boiling like this, then we're going to turn the heat to low. You're going to kind of mix it up a little bit, and then you want to try to get rid of the scum because they will start overflowing later. You want to keep heating like this in low heat for at least 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours, depending on the condition of the beans. Or if you have a pressure cooker, then you can cook this much faster. You want to cook for 15 minutes or so, because at the end what you want to have is really well cooked soft soybeans. So in the 3 hours of cooking, you want to kind of mix it up every now and then so that it gets cooked evenly, and also make sure that the beans are covered in water. So make sure you add in the water every half an hour to an hour or so the beans are always covered. Then just keep cooking for 3 hours. So as we're waiting for the beans to be cooked, let's mix up the Koji with salt. So for 500 grams of Koji, I'm going to measure in 200 grams of salt. So perfectly 500 grams. Then to this I'm going to measure in 200 grams of salt. Perfect. Then we're going to mix this thoroughly. So then that's ready for that. So it's been about 3.5 hours. I think these are ready. So to check that, I'm going to take out a couple of beans. These are really hot, so be careful. What you want to do is use your thumb and the ring finger and try to smush it. And if you can smush it like this with your ring finger, because the ring finger doesn't have the strength, then this is a sign that this is ready. So now we're going to drain this water. So just like that, and don't throw away this water. You still want to use this water for making miso. Now as next thing, we're gonna smash these cooked soybeans. There are several different ways to do this, but I recently learned this method of putting it in a plastic bag. Make sure you use a pretty thick plastic bag and then put it in here and then smash it inside this. So I think that's the easiest way and it makes the least mess. Then using a cooking rod like this, I'm going to smash it like this. And you can also feel with your hands if there are any beans left. So I think this is on smashing the soybeans. And now next thing is mixing with this Koji mixture. So when you're doing it with your hands, make sure your hands are very clean. Disinfect it with some alcohol or disinfection spray, because you don't want to put bacteria in this. So then we're gonna put this in here and mix it with this Koji. These are still warm, and so be very careful not to burn your fingers. So when you're doing this, it's very important that the boiled soybeans is not too hot, but also not too cold. Because when it's too hot, then it can't kill this Koji fungus. But when it's too cold, then it might invite unwanted bacteria or molds. You want to knead it to a texture of kind of a soft clay. And this is actually getting a bit too hard. So what you want to do is get this water that we use to cook the soybeans. Add in so that this gets to a texture that you want. And this will get harder because the Koji rice will soak up in the water. So once this gets to kind of this mushy texture, then this is finished. So I'm gonna put this back in this plastic bag. So once this put in the plastic bag, try to squeeze out all the air out. So once you have a trapped air like this part will start molding and rotting. You definitely don't want that. Make sure that you get rid of all the old air. Then I'm gonna put this in a container like this and try to let it fit this container. And then at the very end, what you wanna do is cover the top surface with a little salt, like this. So before we go further, let's see how much miso we got. Just a little over 2 kilograms. So we start with 500 grams of soybeans. So from that, you can make a little over 2 kilograms of miso. Then I'm going to twist the top like this, get as much air as possible. And then what you want to do is get another plastic bag like this and then fill it with water. And this, you want to tie it like this. So this should be about half of the weight of the miso. And then this will work as weight because you want to push it down a little bit. And then store it in cold, dark places like this. Then once in a month or so, you can check and see if there's any mold growing, then you want to take that out. After 2-3 months or so, you want to do a process called tenchigaishi, which is kind of mixing it over. And that's much easier to do when you have a plastic bag like this. Let's go to a couple months later. So 3 months has passed. As you can clearly see, the color has darkened. And maybe you'll be able to see it, that there's a little bit of black part. I think it's mold, so we're going to take that out and I'm going to kind of mix it up. And of course, when you're doing this, make sure you sanitize your hands. And also sanitize the utensil that you're going to be using. So we're going to take that part out. So I think this part got a little bit rotten, but the rest is just fine. And just check that there's no mold or any rotten parts. And then what you want to do is you're going to kind of mix it up like this. And this is just so much easier to do when you're using a plastic bag like this. And then, and just as before, try to squeeze out the air, just chop it inside. I'm going to put this back in here. Then just as before, we're going to cover the top part with a little bit of salt, just like that, so it's more resistant against mold or bacteria. And then get the air out. And then I'm going to put back the weight again and leave it like this for another 3 months or so. By the way, you can already try to eat the miso. When you make your own miso, you can really taste that sweetness of the beans. Very delicious. But it still feels not ripe. So we're going to leave it like this for another 3 months. So another 3 months has passed. And then this is the result. As you can see, the color has got much darker. Then this is definitely finished. As you can see, there are some difference in the color, so I'm gonna give it a mix like this a little bit. So once it's got mixed like this, then this is finished. Let's open it up and see how it tastes. Oh, it already smells really good. Oh, that looks so good. Let's test out the flavor. Itadakimasu. Oh, this is so rich in flavor, and even though we didn't add any sweetness, it has this subtle sweetness to it. Oh, this is so delicious. If you want to just taste the miso, you're gonna have some vegetable stick like this, and then give it a dip. And to store is also very easy. Once you think the flavor is good enough, then you can put this in the fridge so that it doesn't ferment more. And when you want to use them, you want to put it in a smaller container like this. Then just like this, and then scoot it out from here. So you don't have to keep opening this big bag every day, because every time you open, you're putting in the risk that it gets bad. And also it comes more in contact with oxygen, it starts to oxidate and start losing the flavor. So you definitely want to put it in this other container and then keep using from this. Then this is finished for making miso. Okay, let's eat. Itadakimasu. Itadakimasu. Oh, this miso is so flavorful. It has so much depth in the flavor. Regular miso, if you eat it just as it is, it's not that flavorful. But this homemade miso, it's got this really good sweetness, and you can really taste this beans. It's just so savory, it's just so flavorful. This is just so delicious. I think once you try this yourself, you can never go back to store-bought miso. Oh, this is so delicious. ごちそうさまでした. Oh, this homemade miso is just so savory. It's just so rich in flavor. So as you saw in this video, it takes a little bit of time to cook it and then smash it and then mix it up, and then you have to store it for at least 3 to 4 months, preferably half to a whole year. But I think this is one of the things that's definitely worth the effort. So I really do hope you give this a try yourself. If you did enjoy this video, I'd love it if you hit the like button for me. And if you have any questions, requests, or feedbacks, please feel free to write anything in the comments below. And after this, I'm going to be making several recipes of using this miso paste. So I hope you check them out. And if you want to get notified, please subscribe. Otherwise, I look forward to see you in the next video. Bye.